ChatGPT is more like used for generating a code that you give a prompt, and then ChatGPT is going to give you the code. And I'm not sure how many of you know, but actually ChatGPT can generate a code into another language. You give the code in Java, it is going to generate. If you say generate in Python, it is going to generate the simulation of Python. So
Oh,
it's more like you give the prompt, it gets generated the code. So I would say it actually sits on IT and DevOps industry, where you get the code generated and you as a human being review it, because it is continuously learning and we cannot rely on this AI. So we have to go through with it, but it's more on the coding side.
I never knew this that ChatGPT can, transform the code into different other languages. We have always kind of used it to maybe just, get the code in line so that we can understand and read and how you can, kind of turn up
If you
into
talk about in Salesforce terms, Einstein GPT is one of the tool that Salesforce has came up for developers, and then for MuleSoft there is something. There are some coming with MuleSoft GPT something. But even if you go and give the command to Einstein GPT, you as a developer still have to go and then rectify the code. Definitely, there is another AI which actually gives you the whole thing where the error is and everything, and that is IBM Watson AI Ops. But that's not free, so you as a developer definitely cannot use.
yeah.
So there are tools, but don't worry, because AIs are actually developed by humans, so AI cannot replace human. That is something I believe. Gen AI can be utilized in any industry. Like you take a name, Gen AI can be utilized there. But my favorite, if I talk about some of my favorite areas, it is like computer vision. Hey, hello everyone. So before I start with my introduction, I would like to say something that if you're watching this video, please do subscribe the channel that Kathy is running, because that is how a creator actually gets motivated and tries to come up with the different guests, and then definitely you are going to get a gist of different technologies. Now coming back to my introduction, so if I talk about myself, maybe you know me, or if you not, then this is for you. So my name is Amit Singh. If I talk about my journey as a Salesforce developer, so it's been somewhere around 8+ years for me in the ecosystem. And I'm actually an accidental Salesforce developer. Most of the people don't know about this. I've started my career in Java and then switched to Salesforce. And then I think after some time, I started my own channel, that is SFDC Panther. Now it's been renamed to Panther Schools. Then there is a new channel, Panther Schools. So there has been a lot of happening in the last couple of years related to the channels and name. So that is something that I do for communities. I have been awarded as MVPs. I think that is something most people actually look for. If and then when they get it started, that is really fine. So it's been 3 years for me. I've been awarded as MVP, and then I voluntarily retired from MVP. So that is something. So my title is currently ex MVP, not MVP. And you can also say that I'm one of the brain behind the event that happened recently in September. That is Mule Driven. So that's pretty much about me. I think there is a lot, but that is pretty much about me. That covers everything.
Yes, you heard it absolutely right. The man behind SFDC Panther, Amit Singh, a renowned figure in the tech world, someone with a wealth of achievements and contributions to the field of Salesforce and artificial intelligence, is with us today. I am Kathy Mehta, host of this awesome podcast, and we'll hear the stories and insights from the man himself. And also, we bring you the latest insights and trends from the world of Salesforce technology. There, Amit mentioning about his achievements and contributions. So today, we sit down with him and take away all the tips and tricks to be focused and excel in our career, but also talk about a very interesting topic today, which is none other than Gen AI. So, Amit, before we dwell into today's topic, I'm pretty sure that everyone knows you. There's no question about that. Do you want to talk about how you came up with the idea of SFDC Panther, and how has now it been turned to Panther Schools, and what is your plan next?
So I think the idea, if we talk about idea about creating all this ecosystem for Salesforce inside this SFDC Panther umbrella was, so it basically goes back to my journey when I switched back to Salesforce from Java developer. So when you're working as a Java developer, you really have, I would say, uh, so many things to do as a Java developer. But when I actually started my career as Salesforce developer, it was like no one was there to help. Even when I went to my seniors, they were actually like, this is something that you have to do. So they give you the task. You like, I'm stuck at something. I go to the seniors and they say, that is something you have to do. Okay, there were no help, so I just literally have to sit, think about the things, how actually the things works in Salesforce. Because in Java, I can go and make a DML inside follow. I can make a SQL query. I can read I can do anything. There is no such limitation there. So that is where I felt like, okay, there has to be some resource. And I remember there is a blog which somehow sometimes today itself I remember I visit that blog site. I can't remember the name. But actually, there is a blog, I think something called Inflatable Tech or something. That blog actually helped me really so many things, on so many things like wrapper classes, triggers. So that is where I started. I thought of, okay, there could be many people like me who don't understand Salesforce. So I thought of creating my blogs, and then I started blogging. No one was there to guide. And then I think after 1 year of my blog post, then here comes my mentor. I would say mentor come my big brother Amit Chaudhary. So then he started guiding me. Then I started actually recording videos for Apex Hours initially, and then we actually started Panther, SFDC Panther as a YouTube channel. And it was like my first series was on Lightning Web Component, not Web Component, actually Lightning Component, and it was really kind of went viral. Everyone was watching that, and then I got really very good feedback. So I continued with integrations and then the other technologies. In Salesforce itself, I created so many videos. If I talk about transitioning from SFDC Panther to Panther Schools, so it is in its name itself. So it says SFDC Panther, where the keyword SFDC is actually, I would say, um, that is something which is Salesforce reserves. We cannot use it. Definitely, there are many people who are using Salesforce keyword itself, but the SFDC keyword itself is, I think it's proprietary for Salesforce. So I just tried to switch back to a name which actually does not include any keyword like Salesforce or SFDC or something. Then there I got this idea for creating the schools of technologies. So it's basically the idea behind creating this Panther school is not only having Salesforce as a tech stack. There are going to be other technologies like Java or JavaScript, and the PHP, Node.js, and definitely this trending thing that is AI. So that's the whole idea about transitioning from Panther, SFDC Panther to Panther schools.
You know what, be it the name as FSDC Panther or Panther Schools, you are truly inspiring, and you inspire me, you inspire everyone else around you. And we really look forward to you and your content. So, Amit, now let's dive into the heart of our discussion, which is Gen AI. And with this amazing technology trend, our lives have become now very easier. But for our listeners who might be, new to this term, could you just provide a comprehensive overview of what Gen AI is?
Yeah, sure. So again, before I dive into a disclaimer from my side, I'm not an AI advocate. Okay, so if I somehow say something that is not correct, please excuse me. Okay, or you can just leave a comment, and then we can definitely maybe come up with another blog where or podcast where we talk about more on this. So the term Gen AI, basically, it has been, first of all, it's not actually something that which came recently, because there has been so many things. And why we are talking today about Gen AI is because of that revolution of ChatGPT in 2020s. Okay, so that's why we are talking about Gen AI. But if I talk about what exactly Gen AI is, so basically it's a specialized form of neural networks. And to let you know what Gen AI is, I'll basically go with the four key terms which actually I think most people who are working in AI area actually uses interchangeably, but those meanings are completely different. And those four keywords are like AI, then machine learning, then we've got deep learning, and then we've got neural networks. Neural networks, also sometimes known as artificial neural networks. So AI is something which is basically a branch of computer science by which you can simulate, I would say, the human intelligence, where you basically write some kind of mathematical problem or mathematical computation where you're going to ask some set of questions. The AI is going to give you the answer. There is nothing else. If you ask a different question, the AI is not going to answer you. Then comes machine learning, which is actually a specialized part of AI. So basically, AI is the big box, and then there comes machine learning, which is a specialized part of AI, where machine learning is basically trained on a massive amount of data. It could be billions, or I would say the minimum model that we see, or the lower model that we see, is somewhere around trained on 1 billion commands. But the I would say best model that we see is going to be trained on somewhere around 100 billion or 1000 billion commands. So that machine learning is fed some data, they fed some answers, and then machine learning actually uh, do some calculation by their own. They find out the model to come up with the conclusion. So it's like I give you the question, not question. I will give you the question. I'll give you the answer. They are going to define what algorithm they will use, what model they will use, and they'll give you the answer. This machine learning is more into, I would say, simulating the human decision making, like planning. It could be planning, it could be decision making, or it could be uh, coming up some creative ideas. It cannot generate their own content. Then comes deep learning. Deep learning is going to basically simulate the complete human being. Like you might have seen some videos, if you search for Google, say deep fake AI videos, or maybe deep fake video. To search for, you will find a video of a girl which is actually doesn't exist in the future, but they have created a simulation of that AI that is actually done on a deep learning. And the deep learning actually works on the layer of neural network. So deep learning is think like that. There is a layer of. I'm just giving you the example. Like there are four layers. The input for one layer, like whatever the command that you give, it is going to pass through with one layer. One layer is going to do the processing, give you the output to the second layer. Similarly, second layer is going to do some processing, third, fourth, and then fourth layer is going to give you the information. So this deep learning actually is more effective because it works on the neural networks. They have the layer of neural networks, and neural networks are actually like the neurons of our brains, human brains that we have. And then comes this Gen AI. Gen AI is actually the specialized part of deep learning where it can actually generate the new data based on what it has learned, or whatever the commands or whatever the human has given them, or whatever you have given feeding to the system. So basically, if we talk about generative AI is basically nothing. As its name indicates, you give the command or you give the prompt, it is going to give you the new outcome, or it is going to create a new content for you. It could be text, it could be audio, video, or it could be anything basically. So it's like any AI so far whatever you talked about is not capable of generating anything, but generative AI is capable of generating a new content based on whatever prompt you give. So that's all
Fascinating.
that we have.
Fascinating. That's a lot of knowledge about AI in general. But yes, we all know that ChatGPT has kind of shaken up the world in a year, and it's an amazing technology, you could say, that has come up and has made our life so easy and so useful. So where does ChatGPT kind of fit into all of these AIs?
So definitely, as we talked about, right, there are so many industries where an AI or Gen AI can fit into. But if you talk about the Chat GPT, especially where it actually sits in the IT and DevOps area, where
Okay.
this Chat GPT is more like used for generating a code that you give a prompt, and then Chat GPT is going to give you the code. And I'm not sure how many of you know, but actually ChatGPT can generate a code into another language. You give the code in Java, it is going to generate. If you say generate in Python, it is going to generate the simulation of Python. So it's
Oh,
more like you give the prompt, it gets generated the code. So I would say it actually sits on IT and DevOps industry, where you get the code generated and you as a human being review it, because it is continuously learning and we cannot rely on this AI. So we have to go through with it, but it's more on the coding side.
I never knew this, that ChatGPT can, transform the code into different other languages. We have always kind of used it to maybe just, get the code in line so that we can understand and read, and how you can, kind of turn up into ideas.
Yeah, it has other features. You can, I think, talk to GPT in Hindi, French. I think there are multiple other languages which GPT actually supports. So it
Oh,
also sometimes works as a language translation. You give some text and say, okay, translate it in French, and you will get the French translated language.
I'm pretty sure our viewers are also gonna go and try the ChatGPT in a new manner now. Okay, so moving forward, how is Gen AI in general, influencing the field of artificial intelligence?
So, as we talked about, right, Gen AI is actually, I would say, a part of artificial intelligence, where we've talked about in the previous answers, like deep learning is something which is making this Gen AI more effective. So, Gen AI can be utilized in any industry. Like you take a name, Gen AI can be utilized there. But my favorite, if I talk about some of my favorite areas, it is like computer vision, if we talk about, right? So, not sure how many of you might have seen those movies in 90s or maybe in early 20s, where someone is driving a car and he suddenly went on a off speed, and then a policeman is actually looking for, okay, black XUV with some numbers, and then he or she is actually continuously playing that video to see it and find, okay, finally 2 days later he or she says, okay, we found the guy. But this is where the AI can come into the picture. You train the AI with the computer vision, where you give them the footage or the pictures, and then AI keeps looking for you, or the person who's actually occupied with that video footage that can actually do some other work. That is one of the use case. You can take a use case of another area, that is, if you talk about airport. uh, you go to airport and there are a lot of visual scanning, right? So if you see that there has been a scanning for your bags, where they check, do you have some sharp edges or some maybe electronic items, right? So that how it actually happens, it happens with the help of AI, because they are visualizing the things. As if you give your bag to them, it is really hard to find a weapon inside a bag. There are so many pockets that you can just utilize. So that is one of the way for computer vision, and can be definitely used for other things. You could always use that. And then the second thing is that in terms of audios, because if you talk about, it's not about just speaking in English. There are, I would say, more than uh, thousands or even 2000 languages over all the world that many people speak. And it is also about the accent. Like if you speak in Hindi, your accent could be different, mine could be different, right? So understanding every kind of audience, like audios, and then giving you a proper outcome, that is also one thing that Gen AI can definitely, I would say, help. Not even in Salesforce, even in other technologies as well. And there are others like medical. If you talk about medical industries or pharma industries, you talk about agriculture, manufacturing, or robotics. There are so many industries. I'll just tell you one huge case which actually solved with the most famous AI that you might be knowing is IBM Watson. So there is a company which is somewhere around New Zealand and Australian. There is a in between New Zealand and Australian eastern or northern states. There is a company that is a research-based company. I'll not take the name here. So they actually are a research-based company, and they used to do the thesis and just put it in a file, and this just put it in the racks, and no one is going to look into those files. Now, if 2 years later I need to reference a particular study, I have to go and find out where exactly that file is. Then they came to IBM and they said, okay, we want to take help from IBM Watson, where that actually reads, keeps all the thesis with him, and then whenever it is needed or whoever it is needed, just provide the information. And the intent behind this was to reduce the man force. Okay, because we are definitely going to talk about that. So the intent behind this was reduce the man force. But let me tell you that they actually ended up hiring 20% more man force, even after implementing IBM Watson. So that is one of the use case where it actually read every files. The IBM Watson was trained on every single data that they have, and now the information is available on the fingertips. So whoever is needed, IBM Watson is just giving us. And then the second thing is that we might have seen everyone in India. There is a popular game called KBC, right? Most of the people go, and every year there is a new season coming up. Similarly, there is a game called Jeopardy that is happening in USA.
Yes.
IBM Watson actually win that game with the top two contestant of that in the initial year of that IBM Watson implementation. So that is the one thing that actually I would say talk about how IBM Watson takes the context, the intent of a particular command that you are giving is, and that is actually the good thing about GenAI that we have, because it also understand what is the context that you're asking the question, or what is the intent, what are the emotions that are there. It could be like either you are asking a question out of frustration, or you are really happy you're asking a question, or out of joy. The intent could be anything, right? So that Gen AI actually understand that. And there is another example that IBM Watson itself was implemented for Grammy Awards. Actually, Watson hosted that particular Grammy Award. That Watson went through with more than 60 lakh songs, and then awarded songs for the Grammy Award based on their emotions, their languages, and the context that the song has. So basically, Gen AI really has, I would say, a power of reimagined world that we cannot even see today's. That is definitely going to change a lot of things.
That is so fascinating to know about Gen AI in general, and we all know that Gen AI is the future for us, and it's just gonna be evolving a lot day by day. But yes, you did talk about the workforce, and that is one of the questions, hottest questions of the year. That what is going to happen with daily jobs? Are they going to be affected because of the AI evolution that is on place, or how are we looking forward to that?
Okay, so let me first make a sentence, which is most of the people are looking for is, according to research by McKinsey 2023, and they have made a research, and they're saying that uh, from 2030 to 2050, half of the day work is going to be replaced with the AI. Okay, so that doesn't means it says they work. Okay, it doesn't say half of the humans. So first of all, as I talked about in the previous question, that actually IBM Watson was implemented, but then the company ended up hiring more workforce, somewhere around 10 to 20%. So definitely AI is going to come. It is going to impact ourselves. It is going to impact every industry, but it's not going to replace humans. It's that is the biggest myth of AI that everyone is talking about, is like AI is a downfall of humanity. That is not true. So AI is not going to take your jobs, but definitely you have to be equipped with the AI, what exactly AI is, how prompt engineering works, what are the different forms of AI, what are the different tools. I'm pretty sure 90% of you don't will not be knowing uh, further tools except Bard, ChatGPT, Microsoft Bing. I don't think they would be knowing any other tools that are actually working as AI. There has been so many tools for AI, which is actually used for text to text generation, text to images, image to text, videos. You give the transcript, it actually generates the videos with the beautiful avatars, and that actually looks like, okay, it's a clear, complete, real human being is speaking. So I'll just tell you one thing, that when back in I think 90s, when the Microsoft Excel came in the computers, or the computers were introduced, it was like the jobs of managers are going to go away. They're not going to, because they are just doing the managing, and then they are just preparing the things, the documents, right? But do you think that any manager loses his job? Except COVID areas, there has been some incidents. But nowadays, even managers are getting a good laptop than developers. Like, managers used to get MacBook 7 Pro and you just get Windows, and you are frustrated writing the code while it keep hanging, right? It's
Right.
not about it is going to actually replace the human beings. Definitely, some repetitive works are going to be replaced with AI, so that you can keep focusing on a different work that is of utmost priority. For example, if I talk about a simple example is like a chatbot, a chatbot that can interact with you. It can take the input, give you the output. Even sometime it can just go ahead and do everything. You don't need to even connect with the service representatives. So the person who used to chat with you, actually that piece of job is actually now transferred to AI, and you are working supporting the actual issues, right? So it could be, let's say, we have, even I think most of us are using the applications like just to go for health checkups. There has been so many applications for medical related. So when you go there and they actually self diagnose to you, right? They ask so many questions. So if you're wondering there was a person who's actually replying or asking the question from a doctor's office, that's not true. It is actually an AI which is doing everything, giving you like diagnosing your disease and then transferring it to the doctor with all this data point, so that doctor has everything that he or she needs to know. So it's just like some of the work is going to get automated. All you need to do is know how the AI works, where the AI actually fits, and your job is going to be safe.
That is so true. The wrong interpretations and myths that Gen AI is kind of, it's going to influence the day force, which even I think is not going to be true, because even when you use ChatGPT, it's just going to give you the solution, but that solution is up to the mark, or is up to your business. That is something that a human can decide it better than AI. That's the simple example, is what I feel.
That is true. That is true, because even if you talk about in Salesforce terms, Einstein GPT is one of the tool that Salesforce has came up for developers, and then for MuleSoft there is something. There are some coming with MuleSoft GPT something. But even if you go and give the command to Einstein GPT, you as a developer still have to go and then rectify the code. Definitely, there is another AI which actually gives you the whole thing where the error is and everything, and that is IBM Watson AI Ops, but that's not free, so you as a developer definitely cannot use.
Yeah.
So there are tools, but don't worry, you, because AIs are actually developed by humans, so AI cannot replace human. That is something I believe. So don't worry, just keep learning. One thing I'm repeating again: whenever there is some new technologies that actually like I would say, reflecting the overall the world, you definitely go and learn about it. And one point just I just actually clicked in my mind is that according to the research by PwC, AI is actually going to impact the global economy by 7%, which is somewhere around $7 trillion. So that
Wow.
is also a big thing that actually AI is doing for us.
A very fascinating number. Okay, so talking about Einstein GPTs, and because we have a foundational understanding set about what Gen AI is in general, so let's just bring it closer to home, which is Salesforce. So for someone new to Gen AI, what are the the key features or capabilities that make it relevant to Salesforce users?
So, as a user, if I talk about, or as a business, let's talk about in two different contexts. One as a developer, because most of us are actually a developer or architect, and one as a business.
Yes.
So, when we talk about one as a developer or as a admin, whoever is going to use AI, so the first thing that I would suggest to understand how AI actually works. Okay, so if we are not talking about the traditional AIs, because we have not used even those before. We have started using from ChatGPT or Bard, or maybe I would say Microsoft Bing, right? So
Right.
how AI works is it's like actually takes the command from you, and that command is actually known as prompt. So you need to give a prompt, and that prompt, if the prompt is accurate, you're going the GPT is going to basically go ahead and create the content for you from which whatever he or she has learned, and then just give you this response. Okay, So this is the basic of Gen AI is prompt engineering. So all you need to do is it starts with the prompt engineering. There is a course on the deeplearning.ai platform that is actually free. It's a 1 hour course where they talk about how prompt engineering works. So I'll will actually give the link in the description or maybe pinned comment, so you can just go ahead and learn it. So prompt engineering is the basic thing because I have seen if you are not good at prompt engineering, you will still face the problem even after utilizing this chat GPT bot or any other tool. So you need to be good at prompting or providing the command. So it is like you're just providing a command to a user that do this for me. For example, if you go to maybe let's say you have a complete library and you are going to someone and saying, hey, can you give me the book? It's a very generic command, like which book you are asking for. You're not going to get the book. Like he'll keep that person is going to keep asking again, which book? If you again say give me the book, not going to get the answer, right? So you have to be good at prompt engineering, and I really found that course really useful. And again, prompt engineering is just a fancy word of being an expert in doing Google. Basically, you just need to be good at doing the Googles, and you are done. So that is what the basic thing that you need to understand. And as a business, if you talk about, there are so many, I would say, again, when we talk about businesses, we talk about industries or we talk about areas where we can implement these AIs. So there are like, if we talk about commerce, there are commerce areas, or let's say marketing, where ChatGPT or any AI actually can help you to understand what is the intent of your customer, or maybe uh, fine tune the data about a customer. What is the possibility of buying a product by a customer? So all these, or maybe if you are sending this email, these are the probabilities that your customer is going to buy a product. If you're sending this, you're not going to buy a product. Marketing Cloud is already doing with the help of the Einstein product. But this AI is going to enhance that capability for you to understand more about your products, their need, actually, the customers, their needs, what exactly they want, so that you can just go ahead and in, uh, fine tune your communication that way, and your communications or maybe your revenue is going to increase. If you talk about sales, there could be some repetitive task, or maybe if you're getting the leads are not getting closed. So your Gen AI can find the patterns based on the data that, okay, if this particular pattern or maybe this data is filled, your lead is really good. So Gen AI is really capable of finding the pattern in a massive amount of data. You give billions, 100 billions, or any type command of data you give, Gen AI is going to find the pattern and give it to you as insights. You want as insights, you want as a maybe emails or anything that you're going to get. So there are all the areas like we talked about, and then even as a business, you can also implement. For example, if you talk about Salesforce as a company, Salesforce is definitely giving the GPTs for all the products that they have, but we don't know if they are implementing AI for their own departments. It could be for development, it could be for maybe for education even. So, like my favorite thing is if that would be really good if Salesforce comes up and implements AI on the Trailhead, because education is one of the key focus area that AI can really help, where they can generate the personalized learning. I think Salesforce has already started doing it, but AI can really help you to create personalized learning, quizzes, or real-time feedback, interactive quizzes, the grading systems. So that is really going to help students, whoever is learning Salesforce. That is one thing that really we have. So we talk about industries, we talked about developers. It is basically all about. So let me predict 20 ideas for any startup. It is like I have a product X, I'm going to add AI, and that is a new idea for any startup. So that is I have a product X, I'm going to add AI, and that is a new idea for any startup. So that is how it is going to do. You might have seen this pattern that is basically adopted by every company. I have a product X, I'm adding AI. Even Salesforce has done. I have a product Salesforce, I'm going to add GPT, that is going to be Sales GPT, like Service GPT, or maybe Slack GPT. So it is basically it's the era of AI. that every company is going to behind that they are going to add AI in their product.
Gen AI actually brings just a new level of automation and customization with anything it gets integrated to. Let's say Salesforce. Salesforce itself is such an amazing platform. So, integrating Gen AI with Salesforce, it's just gonna be a new level of customization, a new level of automation. And it's just amazing to know that Gen AI can with Salesforce can fit into everything. Let's say businesses, users, developers, students, startups. It just can add value to what you're doing.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
so now let's just get into the integration part. So how does Gen AI integrates with Salesforce?
So, to be honest, if I tell you the answer, no one will going to understand. Okay, there is a lot goes on behind actually integrating Gen AI with Salesforce. So we're not going to talk about, but we are definitely going to talk about the different products that Salesforce has actually released. So, but as you have asked, I'll just give you a gist of what actually machine learning looks like and how actually a model is getting trained. So there are three types of main learning that main I would say training models that is used by machine learnings, or I would say to train the machine learning models. One is supervised learning, then we have unsupervised learning, and then we have got reinforcement learning. So supervised learning is kind of I would say traditional AI where you just send some data that in the form of in classified information, not classified in the form of classes, like you send bunch of images of dogs and say, okay, if you find something, this is a dog. Then you send images of cats and say, if you find images of something like this is a cat. And then if you go and ask that AI, that AI which is actually trained on supervised model, and you say, okay, I'm just giving you an image, that AI is going to tell, okay, this is a dog or cat or not applicable. That is how the supervised learning works. When we talk about unsupervised learning, it is actually more on you just give the data, you just give the answers. It is actually going to find out the patterns. It is going to classify itself in a different category, create the clusters. So basically, unsupervised learning is more about creating the clusters on the uncategorized data that is not even categorized. So you feed everything that unsupervised learning is going to find out what happens and what the things are happening, which is class it is, either it is a cat, it is a image, whatever it is happening. It is going to put it there. So unsupervised learning takes both kind of data. It is label data where you give the images and label, or you give the text or category, and then it takes unlabeled data, which you just feed it, and it is going to process that and come up with the model. And then if you talk about reinforcement learning, it is more about the system is going to basically come up with own algorithms, and every time the system is going to give the correct answer, it's going to get awarded with some points. So it's like you might have played chess with the system, right, with the computer. That is actually trend on reinforcement learning. So the system is actually going to give us with the given us with the actions and possible results, and system is going to come up with the different combination, which combination actually gives the system a best possible result, that is winning the game of chess. Or maybe you might have seen the self-driving cars. That is also one of the things that can come under reinforcement learning as well as the supervised unsupervised learning. So this is how basically the training of any machine learning model works, and that is how you actually integrate with any model that you create. But again, there is a lot of things goes, like I talk about billions of data actually goes into. For example, if we have to train our model, says if I talk about what is the capital of India. So if you initially ask what is the capital of India, if that model is not trained, that model can might ask what is the capital of maybe USA. That could be the response of AI. But when you train it, how it actually happens, you say what, then its next keyword is, then the next input is going to be what is, the next keyword is the next input is going to be what is then is going to be capital, then it is going to be what is the capital, then it is going to be off. So basically, it is going to read every single word as an input and every single word as an output. And when they will say, okay, when every time now, if you ask what is the capital of India, you'll get, okay, this is Delhi or New Delhi. So that is how the training works of any machine learning model. So you cannot really integrate Gen AI as a developer. We cannot integrate, or I don't know if there is a sharp-minded people out there who can integrate, but I cannot integrate. Okay, but
If you
there
cannot
has
do, then I'm sure we cannot do as well.
no that is not true. It's all about the will. So that is one thing. And second thing is utilizing AI models for our products. That Salesforce is actually doing. Sure, actually they have developed their own model, but most of the time Salesforce is actually utilizing the different models that are provided by. For example, if you really wanted to learn and you really wanted to create your own AI, then there is a I would say there is a model actually provided by Google, that is PaLM, Pathways Language Model, and you could use Marker Suite to develop your own command. Like if you want to develop maybe interview question and answer related command, you just go there into the Marker Suite. First, you have to search for Google PaLM. Go to there, and then it will talk about something, get started or something, or maybe Marker Suite. Just go there. It's going to open a complete new window, and there you could get an API key. You could even make an API call out to the. This is basically like ChatGPT. If you say, okay, give me the code, it is going to give you the code. You can make the API call out for that, or you can create your own prompt. In ChatGPT free version, you cannot do that. In paid version, you can do. But with the help of Google PaLM Marker Suite, you can create your own prompt and you can create your own answers. So you could say, okay, what is the relationship between account and contact? And you feed your answer. That answer is going to come back as a answer. So you can definitely create there. So basically, it is about integrating the models that the big tech giant companies has already created. Like IBM has Watson, and Google has Pathways, Meta has Llama, and then I think AWS has Lambda. Microsoft has its own model, which is actually can be seen on Bing. So you just can integrate any LLM model. Basically, these models are known as LLM model, and that is large language model. And these large language models are actually trained on the prompts that we just talked about prompt engineering. So these models are trained on the prompts. You can integrate those. That is what Salesforce has done. But Salesforce has also created their own model, I guess. I was reading somewhere, so if it is wrong, please don't sue me, Salesforce. Okay, so I guess Salesforce has actually created their own model, on top of which they are creating all their products. It could be, I think, there is a product for Flow GPT related to generate the flows. Then they have got for Slack GPT, then MuleSoft GPT, sales, service, commerce, marketing, and then Einstein GPT that we all can utilize and use it. So that's how you
Yeah.
actually can integrate.
Yeah, but Salesforce, it's also a very interesting way of coming or innovating, Gen AI, integrating Gen AI with Salesforce, because Salesforce itself has a lot of things like sales, service, marketing, etc. It's you just name it and Salesforce has it. So connecting AI with all of these platforms is very interesting and an intelligent way to be with on the trend, and having AI platforms for all of these dedicated platforms is also a very interesting way to use these platforms with AI.
Yeah, that's true. I told you, right? I have a product X. I'm going to add AI.
Yeah. Okay, so talking about all of the integration, and you share a lot of use cases. I'm pretty sure it's very helpful for everyone to understand Gen AI and Gen AI with Salesforce. But do you have anything very specific, or very specific use case for Gen AI with Salesforce that you can
Um,
share with us?
So I would go with two different industries, which are my favorite industries. One is definitely top, that is medical industry, and I think they have got healthcare, health cloud for that. So I would love to see that they are coming up with the generative AI with the health cloud. The reason I'm saying is because we already have seen this COVID, which really was, I think, stayed for 2 years or 3 years. So
Right.
basically, Gen AI can really help in the medical industry, where it can. generate the new drugs with the combination of existing drugs. It can diagnose a disease. You can definitely, you just provide the symptoms, or even you feed the data for a disease and it can diagnose. It can definitely simulate a surgery for you even before you go for a surgery. Even it can simulate the surgery in a virtual world. So you just go and it is definitely going to simulate that, and it is basically going to help you in terms of personalizing treatment. Like if you talk about, right, the personal bot for you, you just go ask the question, the bot is itself going to diagnose for you and then suggesting you the personalized treatment. It's not like nowadays if you go to a doctor, let's say viral is going on, you go to a doctor and he's going to give you the antibiotic for sure, no matter which disease you have. So AI is going to give you the personalized treatment. You are going to get the new drugs every. When I say drug, these are the medicines. Okay, so this AI is going to give you the drugs, new drugs with the combination of existing drugs and diagnose the disease. And I think I can't remember the actual countries, I would say, but there was a huge case where one doctor was treating a patient somewhere around, I would say, in a different country in the southern side, and then the same kind of disease was there in the eastern side of a country, of a world, and then both doctor did not knew each other, and there was no communication that okay, you are doing the treatment, I have done my patient has actually recovered this much, you can utilize this kind of treatment. But with the help of AI, this is definitely possible where you say okay, this is a kind of problem that we are facing with. If anyone comes with this kind of unique symptoms, these are the, I would say, medicines or maybe whatever the processes that we have followed to recover that patient. So that is one area that I would say. And the second area, Salesforce is more on the business side, and Trailhead is one of their, I would say, best product, or I would say the product they have invested more, and they are investing a lot and lot. So they can implement their AI with the learning model for the education industry, where a student can go and find personalized, I would say, personalized learning plans, personalized quizzes, immediate feedback, real-time interaction quizzes, or hands-on the grading system that AI can do. I would say it can really revolutionize the education if they are implementing that in Trailhead. And that is not only about Trailhead; they can also implement the same model in their education cloud as well.
Correct. There's just a lot of possibilities when we say Gen AI and Salesforce together. So the more the better, and it's just amazing to see that Gen AI can integrate with Salesforce very well. So moving forward, let's shift the gears a bit. So let's talk about Gen AI for governments. So how can you think Gen AI can help governments the way they operate right now?
So, see, looking at the success of our COVID vaccine that our scientists has actually given us, I'm 100% sure that they are already looking at the success of Gen AI and they're already working on it. But if someone from the government actually watches this video, then again, I would go with I think four or five or maybe six industries where actually government can start implementing. Topmost is again my favorite one is healthcare. As we talked about why this healthcare is really important, it's not about implementing something, it's about saving the lives of their people as well. And the benefits or the use cases we have already talked about. Second one is definitely education, because in India we definitely, our youth definitely need a right education, personalized learning, because uh, even we are in 2023, but still there are students who actually don't get the right education, and they are actually getting they are pressurized by their parents that okay, uh, look at him or her, he has done really well in his or her career, but you're not doing. So there are so many societal cases that we are seeing, even in the, I think it's been a month. Near my society itself, I had seen one girl who was, I think she was doing doctors. I think she was in engineering or doctoring. She actually jumped up from the building.
Oh
So
God.
there are so many things. So this education thing is also something that our government can start. And my favorite, not my favorite, my least favorite. I really don't like this. That is finance. For me,
Finance.
it could be. finance, it could not be good for me, but definitely it is really important for government. And how AI can help is like AI can help to find out the risk. What are the risk? What are the risk for any particular investment that they are doing? If there is a fraud detection, we might have heard like the scam 1992, and then there is a new web series that is again on the scams. I think 2023, right? So that these scams that we have got can make the investment decisions, how government should invest their money, in which areas they should invest their money to get the more profit. And definitely these finance are ultimately tied up to our GDP, so that is definitely going to grow faster. And we already talked about the global economy, that 7 trillion US dollars is really a big number that Gen AI is going to give us. And if I talk about next, that is agriculture, because I'm a son of a farmer, grandson of a farmer. Okay, so that is one of my favorite. I would say that I keep close to my heart. So in agriculture industry, definitely sales, not sales, government can start, because nowadays you might have seen that there is a use of pesticides is keeping increase. Like it is increasing like this exponentially. Every farmer is using pesticides to get the good crop, or maybe the growth in the crop. So the first or foremost use that I see as part of Gen AI, it can reduce the use of pesticides. Definitely, it can give you the different or maybe a new breed of altogether for the crop that you can utilize. It can help into growing, or I would say getting more output from your grains. So that is something that I see as part of agriculture. And then definitely there are more industries like manufacturing, where big containers can be utilized, or maybe can be moved to a robotics, to a robot, where most of our human being is not capable of doing the work. And then next thing is that we all know that everyone is complaining about the customer service that government has. That is even I would personally say that is pathetic,
Right.
right? So they can also introduce AI there. At least they can definitely, I believe, somewhere around 10 to 20% tasks they can definitely automate and give it to AI. But while keep doing all these things, one thing as a government or even as a developer, as a business, we need to keep in mind that do not give any sensitive information to GPTs, any AI. This because AI is not really AI is hosted on cloud. You cannot take a risk to give your patient information, to your surgery information, or your finance detail information, even your code that you are developing for a software. That software could be very small, but you cannot take a risk to put your code into the cloud, because I think if you have not heard, maybe you can go and Google, where some software developer actually put the code into GPT, and that actually ended up really happening a blunder there. So that is something we need to keep in mind. Definitely, there are some private GPTs. Some products are there, some models are there, like GPT for all is a private GPT. H2O.ai is actually a private GPT, and private GPT itself a private model, so that you can host on your machine and then utilize those. Depends on your requirement, or business actually chooses one of them, either cloud based or maybe a private that they can host on their own server.
That is so fascinating to know, Amit, that Gen AI being such a useful tool, being such an interesting tool, one should definitely keep in mind before sharing anything very confidential to any of these open platforms, because apparently it's an open AI, as the name suggests.
Yeah.
So we should be very responsible, very careful, because it's a crucial information that it should not be shared that way. So today's topic was though about Gen AI and Gen AI with Salesforce, but we pretty much covered it all. Talking from the business use for Gen AI with Salesforce, the user use, how can a developer use it, how can a startup use it, and ending it with how can a government use it. Even we would love to know from you that how can a student utilize the platform in a manner that they can utilize it the best.
Sure. So first of all, I think students are my favorite. Okay, because I teaches a lot to the students. So I think if I would have been an student in this era, and then I've got the tools like GPT or Bard or Bing, and I'm going to tell you a few more names for the tools so that you can actually utilize. So there are three categories that we actually use as a developer on our day-to-day basis. Text to text, we give a prompt and we get a text, or text to image, or maybe text to videos, image to image, or video to video. If I talk about text generation, we have got multiple tools like ChatGPT, we have got Bard, and we have got Microsoft Bing. These are the three tools which actually helps you to utilize more on the text basis. But if you want to know which one to use for which use case, then Bing I haven't used because I don't really use that. But ChatGPT is more like it can give you more and a good code if you are looking for a coding problem that is really going to give you good code, and it can really help you to write your presentations as well. You can go and find out it is really helpful. If you really wanted to use Bard, it is more about getting the recent updates, because Bard is actually looking for the different tools, like it is using Google crawl and other algorithm to get the latest data. So if you really want latest data, Bard is your go-to-go tool. If you really want to be a developer and utilizing a code, that is ChatGPT. Then there are like images generation. Then we have got DALI 2.0, that is again from OpenAI. Then we have got Mid Journey, that is really an awesome tool for image creation. And then there is video things that we can utilize as a creator. That is, there is a tool called Synthesia. I have really not seen the tool like that. That tool is really, really perfect. And the worst thing is that it's paid. So, but Synthesia is really, really a great tool for creating the videos. And there are so many companies and brands are utilizing that product. So these are the three different areas, and some of the products actually I've told you. And if I talk about as a student, I definitely, I'm sure you might have using or you might have started utilizing this, but even I could have started utilizing that. But what I would suggest that please do not directly jump and start utilizing it. Start understanding how this Gen AI works. What is the evolution of Gen AI, or maybe how the AI actually evolved? Why we are talking about AI today? Why we have not talked about in 2015 or maybe in 20s or early 90s? Why we did not talk about, right? Or maybe late 90s? So there is a complete, I would say, evolution of this AI that happens starting from 1950 to 1960, 1964, then 1990, 2010, 2022, and 2014, 2015, 2020, and then 2023. So there is a, I can definitely go and tell you, but I would ask you to go ahead and understand how actually it works. Then go and talk about the different models. I personally would recommend go learn about what is Google Palm language, how actually you can create your own GPTs, your own prompts with the help of Marcus Suite. Or maybe if you are a Facebook person, you really love Mark Zuckerberg, then you can go and learn about what is Meta LAM model. There is a large language model, Meta AI, that you can always go there. If you have access to AWS Lambda, you can always go there and learn about Lambda. So there are so many tools. First, learn those. Those are actually working like a brain behind the AI. You start with the prompt engineering course. You will again, I have said, you'll get the link in the description, and then start utilize. Then you will understand, and you'll actually start utilizing GPTs or Bard in a more efficient way. Because these days you might be going, okay, you will say, okay, give me the write a program to detect if it is a prime number or not, or maybe it is a palindrome string or not. That's how we do as a student.
Yeah.
Okay, but if you actually learn, right? If you actually learn, I'm sure there will be n number of videos over YouTube. You go there, watch them, because you cannot afford the platforms like Coursera, or maybe you can go to Udemy. There are very cheap courses. Just go take those and then learn. Don't say that you don't have money, because these days every student has money. Okay, so just go there, learn. If you don't have money, definitely you use a free platform, learn there. You will find a lot of study about IBM Watson over there. IBM, I think IBM Skillworks or something, there is a platform, you can find a lot of studies there. So start from there and then come back. I'm sure after 2 3 months you are going to use these ChatGPT or Bard or GitHub Copilot, IBM Watson AI or Nolze. There are so many tools. You'll definitely be like a champ, and I'm sure you'll be expert, kind of expert in AI. And who knows, someone goes and build their own AI.
We'll come up with a new version of ChatGPT or AI.
Who knows?
Thanks.
There are so many smart people.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Amit. Those are such amazing pointers, and I'm pretty sure that our students, audience, whosoever is watching us, are noting those points. So that brings us to the closing for today's show. So that's our show, and thanks to you for covering everything that we could think of with GenAI and GenAI with Salesforce. Thanks for such amazing tips and information. I thank you all for listening. See you all at the next podcast.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.